Having trouble picking out a canvas for your needs? Not sure what the difference is between the levels and grades and the styles? In this video right here, we're going to go over all that, coming at you right now. Hey guys, Wall for Games coming at you from my Creative Control playlist where I try to bring you the best tips, tricks, and even a little education just like right here. If this is your first time here, consider subscribing and ticking that bell so you know when my videos go live. When I'm painting on Twitch or on a live stream, a lot of people ask me one question over and over. What canvases do I paint on? And that's a really simple answer. I paint on whatever I can afford. But usually that question is followed up by, what are the differences between all the canvases out there? And I thought that'd be a great video to go over because there are some really good things about all the different levels or grades of canvases out there that people don't know about. But also, sometimes more money doesn't equal better quality. So let's take a look at all the differences between the grades and the levels out there. That's going to help a lot of you beginner painters out there on your painting adventure. Let's take a look. Okay, let's talk about canvases for just one quick second. This isn't going to be a full tutorial on canvases because that's a full nother episode of a show of a video of another thing. But let's talk about canvases for just one quick second. There's generally two types of canvas. There's linen, which is made from flax, and then there's cotton duck, which is made not from ducks, it's made from cotton fibers. What are the big differences? Linen generally lasts longer, it's more of an archival type of painting surface, whereas cotton duck is basically the universal form of most all canvases out there due to its elasticity to be wrapped around so many different materials, and it's actually cheaper, which means it's easier for beginning painters to start on. So that's just the basics out there. All right, let's start with our first canvas. Now, a lot of you are probably familiar with this type of canvas. This is the value pack canvas. You see these sold generally in packs of like 5, 7, or 10, depending on the size that you get. For this one right here, this is a 16 by 20, and you're probably used to a card like this, but a lot of you guys have probably never read what the card really is. I'll put it up on the screen so you can easily see it. But basically it tells you what type of material is used in it. These are cotton duck, so it's easily stretched. It's got a nice little elasticity, which is good and bad for a lot of things. They are primed, but on the lower level ones, the priming is not as good. A lot of these have a really rough surface that you can feel to the touch here, and a lot of the times they're not thoroughly coated. So what I recommend to actually improve these canvases is just go and buy some basic white acrylic paint and paint over these before you actually do paint with these on with oils or your acrylics. And actually, I recommend buying a lot of these lower canvas ones, or lower style canvas ones, because when you actually put 1 or 2 extra coats of gesso on there, which you can buy in bulk for really, really cheap, you increase the actual value of this canvas by a lot. You can pretty much bring it up to a level 1 or level 2. The only negatives on this is generally the back. They're not really that strong for actual support, so you may have to buy some shims, which you can put in these corner pieces down here. That's what those slots are for. That's another episode. I'll get into that another point there. They are stapled on the back, so they're fully there, but the only other thing I've really noticed is they kind of don't have much firmness to them. They do push in a lot. If you're like me and do a lot of tapping in of highlights or mountains or clouds or anything like that, or land or grass, there's a lot of push and a lot of give, which eventually will turn into sag over time because you're pushing so hard on the canvas. The other thing I've noticed is for the frame, they're actually solid frames of wood. When you get into the higher level of canvases, sometimes you'll notice there's a little bit of a beveling on the side that actually lifts the canvas up from the actual wood, so when you paint and push kind of hard, or you're doing abstract paintings or you're really into it, you're not going to leave an actual frame of paint around. You've noticed sometimes when you push really hard on a sky or something like that, that you'll actually see a 1 inch by 1 inch going all the way around. And that's a big no-no, and that's because the canvas is actually not as taut as it should be, or it's because it's not lifted up from the wood frame. But all in all, I highly recommend these. These are great canvases. Perfect for beginners, perfect for students, actually perfect for anything beyond. If you want to use it for professional grade, I do recommend putting an extra coat or 2 of gesso on top of that. Here we have a level 1 canvas. Let's take a look at the card to see what it says when you purchase the canvas so you can notice the differences. Level 1 canvases are back stapled traditional canvases, which means that they're standard weight cotton duck, they have archival quality, they're acid-free titanium acrylic gesso primed, they're 3/4 of an inch on the depth of the canvas, and they can be used for both acrylic and oil paints. So when I paint with a level 1 canvas, the big differences that I really notice is nothing. I think the canvas I showed you before and a level 1 canvas feel to me exactly the same. You know, there might be a little bit more of a tight weave, but it is far and few between. The thing I don't like about it that you'll notice on the back side is a lot of these are back stapled. Pretty much all of them are just back stapled, which could be a plus and a negative for a lot of things out there. So if you're gonna ever have to rewrap a canvas, it's really easy to undo these because maybe it sags over time, but that's a lifetime and a lifetime and a lifetime away if that happens, unless you're doing mixed media and there's a lot of weight hanging on your canvas that you may have to restaple or restretch at a certain point in your life. That's the only way I would probably recommend this canvas. It is just the exact same as the level 1 canvas. Yes, this does have a little more extra primer on it. It's got about, I think, about 2 fluid ounces of extra primer on here. And I do notice a little smoother finish. It's not as rough and it's not as porous, which is a good note for anybody out there doing wet on wet technique paintings, because canvas is so porous, it's like a sponge. It wants to soak in your paint, which is why people prime canvases with acrylic or gesso. It's because they need to create a surface that's going to allow the canvas to be basically painting on top of. So level 1, the only difference I've really noticed is the smoother finish. Now, I've noticed in these, there are imperfections, which I'll show you in some close-ups here, of how the weave is or how the gesso is applied. It's not that great compared to the lower level. I think, again, I would probably buy the lower level versus the level 1. The only difference is if you need something bigger in a size, they don't really make those value packs any bigger than a 16 by 20. So if you want to go big on a rectangle or square, you're gonna have to go with the level 1 at a bare minimum. This is a level 2 canvas. Let's take a look at the card to see what it says when you buy it upon purchase. Level 2 canvases are gallery wrap traditional canvases, which means that they're medium weight cotton deck. They also have archival quality, acid-free titanium acrylic gesso primed. They're also 3/4 of an inch depth, and they can also be used for acrylics and oil paints. Now, what have I noticed when I paint with level 2 canvas? Actually, I notice a lot. I think level 2s are actually where the step up takes place. I would skip over level 1s and go straight for level 2s because I do think they are worth their money. I do feel like they're tightly woven, even though it's the same thing. They're still duck cotton. In fact, all the levels are pretty much duck cotton unless they state otherwise on the back, but they're smoother finish. You actually can feel a great difference because these do have an extra coat of gesso on them that have been applied to it, and you actually start getting into gallery wraps. Now these are 3/4 inch, so 0.75 inch wrap. They can see back here on the side, almost about the size of your finger, so that way if you want to have it pop off your wall, it's going to look great. And they are actually wrapped onto the inside of the canvas. There's a term for this, but I can't, or sorry, they're wrapped on the inside of the frame. I can't remember what this term's called, but I'm sure somebody will correct me on YouTube. I love these. These look great. They feel good. They have great firm bounce to them on the back. No need to apply some glue or gesso or water on the back and let it dry out. And they're nice and firm, and you can actually start to feel them raise off of the frame, so that way when you take paint to them, you're not going to have that 1-inch problem going across. Level 2 canvases are my go-to canvases whenever I get a commission or a painting that I want to have, even for my own home, because I like the way they feel. They take the paint off my brush really well, and they're smooth, and they've got a great finish, and no need, at least I've had no need yet, to put an extra layer of gesso on top of these. So I do highly recommend a level 2 canvas. All right, time for the big boy. This is a level 3 canvas. Let's take a look at the card and see what it says upon purchase. Level 3 canvases are gallery wrapped heavy duty canvases, which means they have 15 ounces of primed gesso on them. And as you can see, every surface has gotten smoother over the next, which means this has the most gesso on top of it. It also has 1.5 inch depth on it, which makes it a true gallery wrap. From when you hang it on your wall, it'll pop off. Has acid-free titanium acrylic gesso that is for the priming surface. It's medium to rough surface, which we'll go over, and it's for use for acrylic and oil paints. And last, it has those heavy-duty beams set for its construction. Now, these canvases are awesome. Level 3s are the big daddies out there, and the big thing that separates them from a level 2 to level 3 is the wood that holds and supports them up is a lot thicker and stronger. That is the biggest difference you're going to notice, and it goes into a full gallery wrap. So it steps up from the 0.75 to a full 1.5 inches. And you'll notice it here on the sides because these are perfect for actually just hanging perfectly on your wall. They look awesome. They pop off. Just make sure you paint the sides so that way you get a little extra effect there. And these are smooth as silk. Now, they do feel just about the same as a level 2, but I feel, I mean, I could be pretentious here, but I feel that it's a little bit smoother. Maybe it does have a little extra coat of gesso on there, although they do say that they are the same weight. Maybe it's just a better distribution of gesso as it's being primed. But I feel like these are way better. They're just as firm. They have a lot of bounce. Generally, they'll have a little more support on the back with these cross beams in here. Usually you got some angled ones that you have in here, or some actual straight across and vertical ones that go in there. But I love these guys. They're wrapped perfectly. You can't unwrap these if you ever need to restretch them. But that's not a really big worry because these will last, 3-4 lifetimes. They are beautiful canvases. I use them all the time for whenever I need to do a gallery wrap or any kind of commission. And they are worth the money. But here's a big caveat. Buy them when they're on discount. This canvas right here probably costs anywhere from $70 to $100, maybe even a little bit more. I can't remember exactly. But I buy them only when they're 50 to 70% off because that's the best bang for your buck. Don't feel like you have to spend up just to get something now. Wait for sales to happen. Follow coupon deals, be on people's email lists for all those deals. That's the best way to save on the cash for these. There's 2 more surfaces that I want to talk about that are going to be great and they're economical out there. One is canvas pads or canvas sheets. You can pick these up at your local store. Usually it comes 10 or 12 sheets to a pack depending on the size that you get. And the nice thing about these is essentially they're level 2. They have the same amount of gesso. They're still cotton duck here. They're perfect for practicing. I usually just tape mine to some cardboard or wood and I can practice and they're going to be great. The second one we have here is actually canvas boards. Same thing. It's basically these sheets wrapped around cardboard. Now these are generally a little bit thinner and the only bad thing about them is what it's actually mounted to is cardboard. So if the prime gesso that's on here isn't that good, it'll soak in that paint like a sponge. Big no-no if you're a wet on wet painter because it's going to take that wet and wet paint and soak it in there and your colors won't blend at all. So make sure you give it a nice feel. For the most part, they're primed well with gesso, but I have had a time or two where I've gotten 1 or 2 bad cards in a pack and I've had to gesso them. So make sure you feel them before you start painting on them because you'll notice the gaps. You can also sometimes see the reflection in them if there's any like scratches or misses in there that you might have to fill in the gaps as well. So let's go over really quick what we've learned as you step up in levels from canvas and their grades. Generally, you're paying for more in how many more coats of gesso there are, how well is it stretched, what kind of stretching is it? Is it standard, stapled, or gallery wrapped, and the actual thickness of the depth as you move up into gallery wrap. And that's generally it. Now there are differences between cotton duck and linen, but like I said, that's another video that we'll do at another point. But just keep those in mind. And just to let you know, there's no one canvas that's better than the next. Pick the canvas that's going to suit your needs. A lot of the time, some painters need rough texture that they want to show and pull through on a canvas. Some people need a nice smooth one. Some people need primed or not primed. It's completely up to you and your needs. I'm doing this from the basics of a beginner that's jumping in there. I myself do wet on wet painting, so I need something that's always going to be primed or double primed or even triple primed, so that way the paint stays nice and wet on there, and that way I can move the colors all around as I continue my painting adventure for, I don't know, 1 painting session, 2 painting sessions. So make sure you pick what's best for you out there. I just want to say thank you all for watching out there. Once again, my name's Wild. If you ever want to see me paint on Twitch, just follow me at Wild for Games. And if you want to follow me on all my social media, on Instagram, Twitter, make sure you follow me on that as well. Link in the description below. You can check that all out. Or if you guys need any supplies, make sure you check it all out down below. Feel free to like and share this with your friends. And if you guys have any questions yourself about canvases or painting surfaces or anything you'd like me to review or explain even more, feel free to leave a comment below. I like getting educated myself and educating you guys back. I will see you guys in the next painting adventure next time. Take care and peace.